So hey Smilez Tribe, welcome back to another video. This is my second time going live today, and like I was saying on the video that the first time don't really count because I was, trying to get ready for work. I mean, get ready for my client or whatever. So they ain't really count. But anyway, if this is my second time, I want to give y'all some tips, get some lighting together. Maybe I should park over there where the sun. But yeah, here's my second time going live. And today I want to talk about loss. I'm going to talk about five reasons why your locks might be thinning. So if you know of anybody that might have locks, share this video out to them. This could benefit them. Um, or even if you don't have locks, these tips, these reasons could be another reason why your natural hair is thinning. But I really wanted to focus on locks today because I had a client. Y'all know these videos are always inspired by my clients, and just the stuff I share here online is the same thing that I share with my clients when they sit in the chair. So yeah, let me park my car over here. I'm gonna move my car. So I had a client today, right? And she's like one of my like teenager clients. She getting ready to go off to school, and I hadn't seen her in a while because there had been some schedule conflicts between my schedule and hers. So since it had been a while since I seen her, I was noticing like the back of her locks were kind of like broken off or thin or whatever. So I was like, what's been going on? And so we were just having like a little conversation, a little chit chat, or whatever. And so she was telling me, and I was just like, you know what? This would be a good video to do for the people because somebody else might be struggling with this. Because sometimes I do see this with people with locks. You might be somebody and you might have inconsistency in your locks. Like I've seen some people where it start off like it's thin hanging by a string and it's thick and it's like a bump then it's thin again. So it's not like no consistency in the locks. So I want to talk about that. I'm going to give y'all five reasons why this might be happening. And I did jot some things down on my other phone, so I'm going to run through them right quickly. Where did I put it? Okay, so the first reason why your locks might be thinning, it could be a vitamin deficiency or your diet. Okay, so that's going to be number one. Diet deficiency slash your diet. And you know what? I done got up here, and let me rewind. I know you're already getting to the tips, but you know what? I got up here and started talking. I didn't let y'all know who I am because somebody might be watching this for the first time. You're like, who are you? Who are you to be giving us hair tips? Okay, well, my name is Lisa Smilez, and I'm in your hair evangelist, and I use the gift of doing your hair and making you kiki so God can reach your souls. That's what we're doing on the channel. We talk about God. We got natural hair together and I make you laugh. Okay, so if any of those things interest you, and if you feel led by the spirit by the end of this video, if you're not subscribed, you should subscribe, or you should like the video or share it. Do something to help a sister out, to help the community of natural hair and people with locks out. Okay, so we can get this word out. Yes, that's who I am. Been in this natural hair game for over 10 years now. Anyway, let's get back to what I was saying. The first thing I was saying was you might have a vitamin deficiency. So when it comes to okay, sorry y'all. When it comes to this hair thing, and I'm giving y'all hair advice, y'all know if y'all been watching me for a while, or maybe you haven't been watching me. I can take off the seatbelt because I'm part. Maybe you haven't been watching me for a while. What I want you to know is, when we look at our hair and we trying to figure out like what's going on, a lot of times it's always an inside problem. Like if you got some thinning going on and some shedding, we got to pay attention to what's going on in the inside of us. So that's why the first thing I said was a vitamin deficiency or a diet deficiency, because whatever is happening on the inside of our body, we are a product of what we eat. We are what we eat. We are what we drink. So whatever's going on inside, it shows on our scalp and our hair. So like if you're not drinking enough water, I'm able to see that in your scalp. So same thing for your locks. So if you're having some kind of vitamin deficiency, maybe you're not eating the healthiest, or maybe you're not taking your vitamins, or maybe you don't take vitamins at all. This would be a good time to start taking vitamins. Now, I'm not a healthcare professional, but I am a hair care professional. And one thing I do know is when you're taking your vitamins and getting the supplements you need, it benefits you overall, not just your hair, but your skin, your nails, everything, okay? So make sure you talk to your physician about getting on a good multivitamin, whether you're male or female, good multivitamin in you, and see what other kind of vitamins you need, because some of us might need more than a multivitamin. Some of us might need the fish oil. Some of us might need, I don't know. Right now, I'm taking the probiotics. Just whatever, because a lot of foods that we eat, honestly, by the time it gets to our table, it has probably, and by the time we done cooked it, because honey, we be in there burning chicken, we be liking stuff fried hard. Okay, maybe I'm just talking to myself, but we be liking stuff fried hard and extra well done, and the vegetables don't even be crunchy no more. They be right soft. A lot of times it has lost a lot of its nutritional value. So that's why it's good to incorporate vitamins and supplements to help supplement what we might have lost once we cook the food. Unless you are raw vegan. But even if you're a raw vegan, you still need vitamins, okay? You still need vitamins. So that might be one of the reasons why your locks are thinning out. That's one of the things. So make sure you, and like I said, incorporate your vitamins. And the second thing I said was number one. It was vitamins / your diet. So another thing we want to look at, okay, you taking your vitamins, but how is your diet? Are you getting your water in? Are you getting your protein in, your vegetables in? How is your diet? How is your diet? So we really gotta look at those things. Like maybe you're not eating as much protein as you normally would. Like maybe you had like a shift in your diet, like you cutting out a lot of meat. And to each his own, whatever you want to do. But what are you doing to supplement that? Because you're not eating the meat. Are you eating more vegetables and stuff to have more protein? Are you doing like more vegan protein shakes and stuff like that? So think about that, because if you're lacking like a lot of protein in your diet, you're going to see it in your hair, and your hair will probably start to thin out a little bit, especially your locks. You might notice a change in your locks. So keep that in mind with the diet and your vitamins. Make sure those things are up to par, because again, when those things are up to par, you are going to notice a difference in your hair. And if those things are not up to par, you're going to be noticing a difference, okay? And I don't just mean just take vitamins for 1 week and then when you see your hair thickening up, you stop. No, it's kind of like when you go to the doctor. If any of y'all ever been on antibiotics or medicine, sometimes for antibiotics they say take for 14 days. And sometimes what happen is like you start taking the antibiotic, and then you feel like on day 5, like you feel better, like you want to stop. No, you keep taking it until your situation change or the doctor recommended them out. But it's the same thing even when it comes to vitamins and eating right. The second you stop eating right, and the second you stop getting the right vitamins in your body like you need to, and you're not consistent with it, you're going to see inconsistency in your locks, and they're going to thin out, okay? So the second reason why your hair or your locks might, let's drink some water. The second reason why your locks might be thinning out is stress. Let me tell y'all something. Stress will take your hair slam at. You hear me? Stress will take your hair slam out. It ain't no joke. I have experienced it myself. When I was stressed, I remember I had a whole bald spot right here in the middle of my head. It was a little teeny bald spot, but still, just based off me being stressed, having anxiety, worrying about things that I should have handed over to the Lord. Okay, I just said in my video this morning how what I say about God's burden is light, or He say take on my yoke is light, my burden is light. We need to get, babe, we need to get stuff over to Jesus. You hear me? We need to hand it over and stop stressing Him. But stress will take your locks out. Stress will thin them locks out to the point where they will be hanging by a string. Okay, you hear me? So when you are stressed out, look, we're gonna have to do something. You're gonna have to pray if that's what you do. You're gonna have to do some meditation if that's what you do. Do you some breathing exercises. Do whatever you gotta do to eliminate that stress. And look, don't start stressing out because your locks are thinning. Because then that could cause more problems. I remember one time I told a client that her hair was like thinning and breaking off, and she started stressing because I told her that. I'm like, girl, don't. I ain't trying to make it worse, but I'm just letting you know, like, the more and more you keep stressing and stuff like that, it's going to thin your locks out. It's going to thin your hair out, and it's going to just make it worse. And a lot of times, you know, like I said, what's going on the inside can come out on the outside. So you might not even notice how stressed you are, but I'm telling you, start paying attention to your hair, because your hair is like, and your scalp will tell you if something's going on. You can tell something's going on. Like, so you might not think you that stressed, but you starting to notice that when you comb your hair or when you do your locks, it's like, and you might be a person, you might not even do a lock retwist often, because we're going to get on that one too. You might be a person and you might not retwist your locks often. But then you notice, like, why is my hair thinning out? Why is my locks thinning out? And I don't even hardly retwist my locks like that. Stress. Stress. Stress will take it out. Stress will take you slam up out of here. You hear me? Literally, it will take it. Honey, y'all will be going to go meet the Lord stressing. You hear me? You will be going to go meet the Lord stressing. So that could be reason number 2 why your locks are thinning. So do whatever you got to do to relieve that stress. Have you some self-care things that you do, like do some breathing exercises. Don't let people stress you out. Don't let situations stress you out. And I know it's easier said than done, but as Tony Gaskins would say, it have to be said in order to be done. So whatever you have to do, because you got to think, if you want your edges and if you want your locks, if you don't want to look like God bless them, Stevie Wonder, where they, you know, where they already back there, honey, you better be like, oh, I can't be stressed out because I got hair to keep on my head. That need to be your motto. Like, I cannot afford to stress because I cannot afford for my locks to thin. And especially if your locks is already on the thin side, that's the last thing you need to be doing is stressing. Because, honey, you're going to take your hair right on off this earth. I wonder if I should roll down the windows. I think it's nice outside. I'm so happy it's nice outside today. Like, this weekend, sidebar, this weekend, it was like cold and rainy here. I was like, this is not giving Memorial Day weekend. This is not giving, God. Like, you know, they say in all things be content. But I was like, God, like, I'm not feeling this rain. Y'all, I literally, like, I was a bum this weekend. A bum. I was a bum. I was a bum. Like, I laid on the couch all day. Like, and you know what? That's probably okay. Even though I wanted to go out and I wanted to do some things, but it was just rainy and dreary all weekend. So anyway, I'm grateful that the sun has came out today. Like, I'm grateful for the rain, but I'm also grateful for the sun. So anyway, so yeah, it made me, and it's funny, y'all. Like, and since we're talking about stress, the weather really does play big on your mood and your emotions. Because I really was low key sad over the weekend. I mean, like, not like heavily, but I was like low key, like, I ain't feeling this. Hold on, let me roll the window just a little bit because the wind is winning. Okay, but yeah, I was like low key, like, But anyway, getting back to what I was saying, number 2 was stress. So incorporate some self-care things throughout your day. And you might be a busy mom, you might be having a lot going on, but don't you owe yourself 5 minutes? Don't you owe yourself 3 minutes? Don't you owe yourself to take that time to either step away and do some deep breath? And you know what, a lot of times we think that like self-care means that we gotta go get a pedicure or a facial, or we gotta take all this time off from work. No, it's little things that you can do just throughout the day, even if you work, do throughout the day. Like even today, like I took a bathroom break, and don't just be in a rush just to go to the bathroom. Take your time in the bathroom and just really sit there, take some deep breaths. If you gotta step outside for a few minutes, do whatever you have to do. If you find something that's stressing you out, just step away, take a deep breath, say some affirmations, say some scripture, do whatever you gotta do to level that stress out, okay? And yeah. And if it's sunny outside, step outside and get some vitamin D. It's gonna make you happy. So yeah, I feel my mood lifted up because the sun is out today. I try to be happy during the rain, but it's hard. Okay, so let's go to number 3. I knew there was a lot of sidebars. I know y'all like. I know some people like, girl, if she don't get through these tips, you getting it for the free 99. You better be patient. Okay, so the reason number 3 and why your locks might be thinning is you are retwisting too often. Sister, brother, you're retwisting your locks too often. Okay, now I know a lot of times some people, they like that fresh look. They want their hair always to be neat and be put together. And your hair can't always be neat and be put together. But also, we have to keep in mind, are you retwisting it too often? Okay, so this same client in particular, when she first started coming to me, she was going to somebody else before, and her locks were real thin, and she had said she get her interlock all the time. And it was her and it was another client who had started coming to me, and I just thought it was odd that they was getting their hair interlocked about every 2 to 3 weeks, and I'm like, that's just too much. Because honestly, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, when I say interlock, it means how you take the crochet needle, and they basically like take the end of the lock, they put it in the crochet needle, and they pull it through the base of the lock. So it's almost kind of like you are knotting the hair at the root, which is good because it actually helps your retwist to last longer and look neater longer. But on the flip side of that, if you do that too often, that can thin your hair. Okay, so the palm rolling is what like most traditional people get. They get the palm roll, just take it with their hands and they roll it. That's palm rolling, but also there's interlocking. Both of them can thin your locks out if they're done too often. But especially if you're getting your hair interlocked too often, 2 to 3 weeks, that is too much. That is too much on your hair, and you need to pull back. And I always say, when you interlock, the next time you get a retwist, don't interlock. Get it get a palm roll. Get the palm roll, because it's a little bit less tension. But also on the other side, if you going to the salon and you getting it palm rolled too often, that could be an issue. Now, the little caveat, a nuance to this is, when you just start your locks, you might be going every 3 weeks. So that's different. That's a whole different ball game, because your locks are not pretty much mature yet. They're still in their beginning stages, and you're trying to mold that hair. You're trying to get that hair to get in formation where, you know what I'm saying, it's not your locks are not coming out. So I'm not talking about that. In the beginning stages, it's very common for you to go back every 3 weeks. I remember one client, I had her come back every 2 at one time, and then we dropped it to 3, and then we did once a month. So keep that in mind, whatever your schedule is. Some people get their locks retwisted every month. Some people go a little bit longer and do 6 to 8. But whatever your schedule, if you're starting to notice that they're thinning, pay attention to how often you're getting them retwisted and adjust that. So that means you might have to go longer, or maybe you can, like I said, you can do change up your twisting style. Okay, so try not to get them retwisted too often. And here's another thing, like if you like your locks to look neat and put together, and but you're like, I can't get them retwisted as often, find alternate ways to wear your locks. So that's when you want to start getting to your accessories. So instead of getting a retwist, find you some cute hair bands to wear, some cute scarves to wear, or either like different styles where it pretty much looks like it's done, but it's not. So keep it in mind. Don't retwist too often. That's going to be the third reason. Okay. The fourth reason why your locks could be thinning is it could be a hormone imbalance. Your hormones are imbalanced. And what I mean by this, typically I see this comment with a lot of women who probably just had babies, or maybe you're going through the change, as they would say, you know what I'm saying, you getting your hot summers. Somebody said it one time. They called their hot flashes hot. They get, no, did she call them hot summers or did she call them personal hot? I think she called it her personal hot summers. Okay, so your hormones are kind of at an imbalance. So you might notice that it's going to be some changes. It's changes with your body overall, but definitely going to have some changes in your hair as well. So if you somebody and you just had a baby or whatever, you might notice the thinning of the locks. And it might not happen initially. Like your baby might be 2 months and you might, oh Lisa, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? My locks are fine. They're not thinning out. Keep on living, as my mama would say. Keep on living, because it might not happen initially because that baby fresh out the womb, but sometimes it's at a delay. Sometimes people don't see their locks thinning until that maybe their baby is 6 months, and sometimes up to a year. And sometimes the shedding and the thinning can last almost up to that baby is a year. So just keep that in mind. Like if you just had a baby, or even if you're going through the change, as they would say, just keep that in mind. That could be one of the reasons why your locks could be thinning. And what can you do to help that? Well, if you just had a baby, I'm gonna say don't put too much tension on the locks. And again, don't get them retwisted too often. But the good thing is, if you just had a baby, your hormones gonna eventually level out. Same thing if you're going through the change. Eventually, stuff is gonna level out. That's, like somebody said, that's just the you're gonna just have to take that ride. You're gonna just have to go on that little roller coaster, but your hair is gonna come back. Your hair, if you just had a baby and them locks in it, it's gonna come back. It is definitely gonna come back. Don't think it's the worst thing. If you're going through the change, your hair is gonna come back. Okay? And now also, but listen. Okay, now your hair gonna come back if you take care of it. Now, just because you like, oh, Lisa told me, cause I just had a baby, that eventually my hair gonna come back, so I can do nothing to my hair. No, sister, no, brother, whoever watching, you still gotta take care of your hair. Meaning keep your hair moisturized. Keep them locks moisturized, okay? Make sure, again, you're not tying nothing too tight on them. You're not getting retwisted too often. But eventually, that if you're taking care of it, it's going to come back. It's going to come back, all right? So definitely make sure you take care of it if you're going through a hormone imbalance, and everything is going to eventually level back out. And that's weird. I'm doing this YouTube live. That's weird. Okay, so okay, I want to make sure I'm still live. The thing maybe it's saying my connection is terrible. Okay, so all right, so the last and the fifth reason that your locks could be thinning is, I kind of said this already, but the styles you wearing are too tight. The styles that you're wearing are too tight, and honey, we need those styles to be loosened. Okay, we need those styles to be loosened up. Loosen up in the name of Jesus. Loosen them styles up, okay? So you might be getting your hair retwisted, and when you get your hair retwisted, then you have your stylist do a style, and she's styling it too tight, and it's thinning your hair out. It's too much tension, because already in general, the retwist is, putting more strength and tension on it. Well, it shouldn't. Interlock might a little bit, but if you go in and you pulling up into tight styles, it's gonna thin it out. Also ponytails, because I see like some of my lock clients, once their hair get long enough, they pull it back into a ponytail, which they happy to wear their own ponytail with locks. But also keep in mind, it's the same rules apply, even if you was a loose natural. Make sure that ponytail, when you pull that hair back into a ponytail, that ponytail is not tight. That ponytail is not tight. If you style it, don't do tight styles, extremely tight styles. Lay off on the tight styles. Other thing I was gonna say too, and this kind of can go into number 5, the fifth reason. Also, like, you remember how I said earlier, like, instead of like retwisting too often, this is when you want to start accessorizing, like maybe adding head scarves, so it kind of have the new growth and stuff. Also keep in mind those scarves that you wearing, and you trying to jazz up your locks so people can't really see a new growth. Make sure that even those scarves, head scarves or headbands that you wear are not too tight. And make sure they're not too tight, because you end up imposing more damage, because you're like, well, Lisa, I'm not really retwisting my hair as often, but I do wear these headbands. But then you tying the headbands tight. It's like you switch from one thing and still doing the same thing. So make sure, if you decide to do like the headbands or the scarves to kind of conceal when you need to retwist, make sure those things aren't tight. And here's another thing I was gonna say too, on the lines of the tight hairstyles and tight scarves. Also, those who have locks, and I preach this a lot with those who are my loose naturals. Make sure that even if you are putting your locks into a ponytail, you still need a satin scrunchie. You still need a satin scrunchie, sis. So don't think you excluded because you got locks. No, get you a satin scrunchie. Yes, because I have still seen those other kind of scrunchies pull people hair out. And I noticed even some inconsistency in the locks, meaning it's thin, thick, thin, thick, thin, thick. And that's because they wearing they pulling their hair back into these ponytails, but even a ponytail holder is causing that hair to thin. So even if you got locks and you decide to wear a ponytail, still make sure it's satin. Still make sure it's satin. That's important. And the other thing is, like, I know not a lot of headbands are satin, but if you're going to wear the headbands on your hair, if they're cotton based, make sure you're moisturizing where the headband will be sitting at before and after. But it will probably be better if you can find like satin headbands. I know they got some online. You can Google them. They got some. It's a company out there. They can go ahead and send me a check. What's their name? Oh man, I can't think of the name. And it's a black owned company too. It is a black owned company. I feel like it's with a Y. Can't remember the name of it, but if y'all Google it, I think they have a lot of like lock accessory, like scar and things for scars. And I think they got like some satin line, like caps and hoodies and headbands. So that'd be another good option. It's find things that have satin lined in it, so it'll keep your hair from drying off and keep your hair from thinning out. Okay, so make sure you do that. And what I will say, even though you got locks, you still can get a protein treatment. You still can. So if you're noticing some thinning, you definitely can come in and get a protein treatment to help give it some strength. But overall, let's do a recap what we talked about. Oh, we had 30 minutes. Let's give a recap of what we talked about. Hey, Renelle. We talked about the 5 reasons. Was number 1 was, let me pull up my list again. Number 1, we said one reason why your hair is thinning is your vitamin deficiency, stress, you retwisting too often, hormone imbalance, and tight styles. So if you might find 1 or 2 things in this list that you're like, maybe I need to watch that. Yeah, so keep that in mind. And the funny story is, I had a client, and she had is and also I could tell when she had her first baby, her second baby, and she kind of had her babies like relatively close together. and I had started her locks. Ooh, it's been a while. So when she got pregnant the first time, of course she went through like the thinning and stuff. Then she got pregnant again, and so in one of her locks, you seen it was thick, thin. And I told her, I said this was baby number one, and this was baby number two, because she, like I said, she had those babies, and one of the things that could cause your locks to thin out is that hormone imbalance. And we laughed about it, but it's true. So if you don't have multiple kids with your locks, you can pretty much see when you had the first one, second, third one, or whatever, because you'll kind of notice that inconsistency. And somebody asked, how do we fix that? Well, one of hers, I did have to end up cutting it, unfortunately, but it was to the point where it was still long enough. And I think now I didn't catch up with the rest of her locks, but I was trying to save it. Like, I really was trying to save it, but I was like, girl, at this point, like, that lock was hanging by a string. But she had a lot of new growth. So I was like, look, what you want to do? I said, because I mean, we can keep the lock, but it was literally hanging by a string. I said, but the good thing is, even though this lock is hanging by a string, like, she had like a lot of new growth, and she got some thick hair. So I was like, even though if we do cut it today, like, the amount of new growth you have, it was like long enough for her lock to be like that long. Even though the rest of her hair was down here, like, I think the rest of her locks was like down here, but the lock, it was very inconsistent, but it had about like that much new growth. So yes, it was initially shorter, but I was telling her like it would do her more damage to be trying to keep it than just cut it off, because you got enough. But that's my professional advice and stuff. But yeah. So yeah, those are the 5 reasons why your locks might be thinning. And so hopefully this video helped you. If you watch this video and maybe you don't have locks, guess what, honey? These rules still apply. Cause her is her, okay? Her is her. So they still apply whether you got locks or not, okay? All of this could be another reason that those who might be looting could be a reason why your hair is thinning out. Okay? So thank y'all so much for watching this video. Again, remember to share it out. And I will see y'all in another video. Bye. Bye for now.